Hello crafty friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making a slimline card. I know you're shocked. And we're going to be using some adorable Heffy Doodle products. This is the Thanks Heffy Cut. We're also going to be using this awesome set called Hello Squeakheart along with the matching dies. I just love those little mice or hamsters or whatever you want to call them. So cute. And I love the matching dies that go with it. And then we're also going to be using this stencil called Speckled with Fun. And we're going to do some ink blending with the new Distress Oxide ink, and that one is called Speckled Egg. All right, so I have my slimline cut down to 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and we're going to start out right out of the gate screwing up. My brush is filthy. Check it out. And that color is supposed to be Tattered Rose, but it's gray. So a lesson in cleaning your brushes, or maybe even having brushes for separate colors. But I did clean it off, and I'm just going to try and put that color right over the top. That's the nice thing about Distress Oxides, is that they layer up pretty nicely. And that, I salvaged it a little bit. You can kind of tell, but it's okay. All right, we will move on, and now this is that brand new color called Speckled Egg, and I love it. This is such a beautiful color. It's a little bit muted. It'll be perfect for skies, and yeah, I really love it. And then our third and final color is going to be some Broken China. I just thought these colors would layer so nicely together with that Broken China on the bottom, the Speckled Egg in the middle, and then blending right into that Tattered Rose on top. It just works out. I like it. It's really pretty smooth. After we're done and we're happy with the blend, we're going to put it in our splat box, and I'm going to be grabbing out some Brutus Monroe Gilded Aqua Pigment. It is a gold sparkly pigment that you can watercolor with, but I'm going to use it for some splatter today, and I am going to go extremely liberal with the splatter, and I love the way that gold just layers on top of those three colors. And then I'll set that off to the side to dry, but check out that gold splatter all over. And then I learned my lesson. I'm going to close that bottle and put it away. All right, I'm stamping all of my images, several times actually, using some Memento Tuxedo black ink right onto some Express It cardstock. And like I said, I'm going to do that several times. I have noticed, obviously, with slimlines, you're going to need a lot more images. So I'm going to stamp these out a bunch. And I'm also going to stamp out a bunch of the little pieces of cheese and a ton of tails. For my Copic coloring, I have Y15. That is my main color for my cheese. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a quick wash down on all of those. And then I'm going to come in with some YR23 as my darker shade for all these pieces of cheese. I'm not really too concerned about light source on this one because these are pretty small images and I'm going to have those stacked. And I just don't think it, with the small detail that they are, that it'll be that big of a concern. So we'll move on to our bigger cheeses, and I actually do color them using all the same colors, but a little bit differently because some of these will be sitting the way you see them, some will be turned on their side, and so that would mean the light source would come from different areas. But I am going to bring in a third color since these are a little bit bigger, and that third color is going to end up being an orangish color. It's going to be a yellow-red, but it is the YR27, so it's just a tad darker, almost like a brown-orange, and I think it matches really wonderfully with those first two yellows that we have. And then, like I said, I'll color all the cheeses basically the same, but just with a different light source in areas. For my mice or hamsters or whatever you want to call them, we're going to do some different things with them. We're going to use two basic color palettes. The first one will be E31 and E35. Some of them I'm going to try to put spots on. Some of them are going to be plain color. Like this next one, we'll put down our E31 and then we'll come in with our E35 and just put some darker shade where I think it might look good. But I'm not super concerned about a lot of detail on them because there's going to be so many of them, and we're only using a two-color blend on most of them. And then we'll move on to our W's. Because these are warmer tones, I decided to use warmer grays. So I've got my W3, and then I'm coming in with my, I believe this one is the W5, and then do the same thing with it. And then here, I tried to put some spots on this one, and clearly didn't think it through, and so my spots made it look like, I don't know, almost like he had a weird toupee on his head, so or maybe he was going to rob you. I don't know. He's wearing a ski mask. So I end up deciding this just doesn't look good. So I end up just putting that whole W3 all over our little mouse. And then we try to work with our shading a little bit better. And so then for the next mouse, I actually just give him some gray spots and leave a lot of him white as well. So I thought that would be kind of fun. And then I will end up coming in and coloring. I did stamp out the little house and the little wheel that are in the stamp set. And I color those just using some blues that matched our broken china and our speckled egg. And if you don't have that speckled egg yet, I will definitely have it linked down below. It is a beautiful color. And yeah, you'll definitely want to add it. All right, so now we're going to take all of our matching dies and we're going to line those up, tack those down with a little bit of washi tape. And I am in love with these dies. Heffy Doodle does such a good job with cutting even the little details. So you see there's that little piece that looks like a half circle. It's going to cut out the bottom part of the big circle on that cheese. So that way you can poke a little mouse through, which I think is fun. And their little paws get cut out on most of them so that they can hold their tiny piece of cheese. It's just brilliant. So I've got them all cut out. They're up on the top there. And now I decided at this point, I wanted to bring in that stencil. So again, this is the Sprinkled with Fun stencil, and I'm going to bring in those colors that I'd already used, and we're just going to put a little bit over the top. And Max is so sweet. He loves to just sit and watch, and so he's super enthralled, just sitting on my lap, watching what I'm doing. He just loves it. And Miles, you're not going to see it, but at one point, Miles is going to come in. I have a little mason jar on my desk, and it has a tiny bit of water in it, or it had a tiny bit of water in it, because I had a little rose on there that my son had sent for Mother's Day, and it was still actually, believe it or not, doing pretty well. Well, Miles wasn't okay with that, so he jumped up there and he tried to pull it out, and it knocked the water clear over. So it's cute how different their little personalities are, but just how much they love each other. If you follow me on Instagram at all, oftentimes in my story I'll post little quips about them. They're just fun cats, I'm telling you. So yeah, it's fun to see how Max will sit there and watch. He's an observer, and Miles is the crash and burn, gotta see what's going on, wants to be a part of it all. All right, so now we're just kind of taking each of our little pieces and we're placing them how we want. But notice how I said that little part that cuts out the bottom bit of that big circle. This is how you can put those little mice in there. So here's Max just checking it all out. You don't see Miles on the right-hand side of the screen, but he is definitely there. And you'll see the tip of the rose up on the upper right after it gets knocked over because he pulls it out with his little teeth. And then the whole jar spills water all over. But it's okay. It's so hard to be mad at them. They're adorable. All right, moving on. I did cut out the Thanks Heffy cut using some gold glitter stock that I had in my stash. And now I'm just holding it with my reverse tweezers, and I'm using a little bit of Nuvo Deluxe glue on that. Reverse tweezers are great because you open them by pinching, and when you let go, they close. So it's the opposite of regular tweezers, basically. So that's been put down with a Heffy glue, and now for each of these little tails, I'm going to attach those to each of the different mice where it's actually going to show. So I'll pick up this little guy. I'm going to hold him with the tweezers. I'll put a little bit of glue on the one part of the tail, and that way I can just stick him down on top of it so his tail will be behind him. And then we also have to attach the cheese he's holding, so I'm going to pull out the cheese, put it down. But yeah, it's adorable how those tiny little paws were cut out so that he can hold that cheese in his paws. I'll put a little bit more glue behind him, and then we'll attach him down to the front of our card. And then we're just going to keep doing this exact same process. So it did take probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes to kind of figure out the layout that I wanted. And then it didn't take, a whole lot of time once you've figured that out to start gluing all of your pieces down. And I do put some stuff on the inside of my card. So I did leave out a couple of the mice, one big thing of cheese, and a couple pieces of the little cheese. So you'll see that at the very end. But now we're at the very end of the front here, and I'll just tack down that last piece of cheese. We'll flip it over and we'll cut off that excess of the large cheese. And then we're going to pull out our card base. Our card base is some Brutus Monroe Not Your Mama's Heavyweight cardstock. And I have scored that at 3.5 inches. So this one was cut to 7.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 3.5, or 7 inches by 8.5, scored at 3.5. That makes more sense. For my sentiment strip, I didn't have any cardstock that matched, so I'm just taking some of that broken china and blending it onto a piece of the cardstock. I don't think I mentioned that I was using Bristol smooth cardstock for all of my blending. And then I will take the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink and stamp out my sentiments. One of them is going to say Sweet Cheeks, and the other one is going to say, You are such a Gouda friend. And then I'll trim those down and I will attach those to the inside. Sorry, my camera does stop, so you don't get to see all that. But here we go. Here is the end result. Here's our card attached to the card base. And there's the inside. Love how that turned out. And I did go ahead and make a matching envelope. This was made with the Trinity Stamps Slimline envelope die and the Tonic Studios specialty paper called Yellow Bamboo. And I love it. It's just, they go together so well. And there you have it. So you have a nice card and envelope combo. All right, so if you liked this video, please hit the like button. That helps me to realize what kind of content you guys like to see. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I typically have 3 to 4 videos a week. And as always, I will see you very soon in the next video. So thanks for stopping by. Bye, everybody.